My sister and I signed a 3-year lease. She got pregnant 3 months in. How do I tell her that I need to move out? I, female 35, moved across the country, Canada, with my son, male 14, and my dog to start new. I asked my sister, female 36, to join me in the city. She lived in a small town 2 hours south from where we live now. I accepted a job offer, as did my sister, and we signed a 3-year fixed rental agreement in a 3-bedroom house. My sister and I are very different people. We have a complicated but supportive relationship. We have a lot of love and respect for one another. We also have some on-off codependency issues from our childhood. Things were going well for the first few months. We were transitioning into this dynamic, and it wasn't always easy, but we found systems and ways to make it work. Everything changed 3 months ago. My sister met a man and conceived on her first date. The baby is due in April. It's a welcomed surprise. My sister is experiencing a difficult start to her pregnancy, insomnia, stress, and thyroid issues. We've not been getting along. My son and I can do nothing right. It's the little things compounded. My sister is also quite entitled, openly expresses and reinforces this attribute with humor. In her pregnancy, it's been worse. There is little to no consideration. For example, she's struggling with the sound in the house. She leaves her door open for her cat and refuses to wear earplugs. Instead, she demands for my son and I to vacate the living room and kitchen at 8 p.m. because she can hear us. I don't get home until 7 p.m. and need to make dinner. Another example is that I've been giving her upwards of $600 per month in groceries. I have a lot of allergies, and she wouldn't accommodate these allergies, so I would often need to eat alone and buy additional groceries. It hurt me to learn that she had her groceries supplemented by the father of her unborn child, meaning that she had been asking for money for groceries that were already paid for. My salary is less than my sister's, and I have a dependent. She decided that the child's father, male 36, would move into this house with his dog and his cat and sleep in the foyer at the top of the stairs without consulting myself or my son. This area of the house is not closed in. It's positioned above the living room/kitchen, an area that my sister has already deemed inaccessible between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m., and also between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. My son and I are starting to get forced into our bedrooms off the entry hallway. They split up 2 weeks ago, and he's still moving in. He's a bit of a dirty guy, and my sister is type A. To put things into perspective, she's cleaned out his house and his 2 storage units in the last 3 months. He's not much of a cook or cleaner. She said that I'm lucky that I get to benefit financially from this. I'll pay less in rent, and I don't even deserve it. Those were her actual words. I actually like the guy. I don't like the way my sister treats him, but he's a nice guy. I moved for a lot of reasons. My son was experiencing anxiety and self-esteem issues around his father. Never married, separated after birth of our son, in and out of the picture, who had drained our collective savings account for the kids' education because of addiction. I wasn't able to secure a suitable salary with my education to get ahead. To be fully honest here, my sister and I had a hard upbringing. The only reason I stayed in our hometown was so that my son had access to his father, and, well, a time came where his father's absence would be more beneficial than his presence. I moved so that we could start a new life and have peace. We are not experiencing peace. I confronted my sister about the use of communal spaces, and that she would have to find solutions to limit the way that sound affected her. I confronted my sister about shared bills, and have asked her to post the bills on the fridge, and that we would no longer be splitting most groceries. I confronted her that I'm not entirely comfortable with someone moving in here. It's not within the rights of our lease, and we would need to communicate this with the landlord and ask to break the lease. My sister's response to everything has been emotional, reluctant, and avoidant. She simply cries, yells, and walks away. She claims that I'm abandoning her. I feel exhausted, exploited, and manipulated. It's affecting my work, my personal life, and my ability to just enjoy life. My son is experiencing some anxiety too. He has sports and extracurricular most days after school, and I'm adamant that we discuss adult things when my son is not there. However, he has witnessed some arguments and knows that we are not getting along. I want to leave this situation. I know I have to. I feel like I'm abandoning her, not just because she tells me so, but because everything is crazy and I want to leave. I didn't sign up for this. I don't agree to live with my sister, her estranged ex-boyfriend of 3 months, and his 2 pets. I don't know where to start or how to do this. I know I need a couple of months to save up for first and last. In the comments, Quiet Village 1425 says, have the guy take over your lease and leave before the real madness starts. OP replies, I think this is the best route. I had originally pitched this idea, and my sister had said that he wouldn't move in. A month passed, and she decided he would move in. I originally said that I would stick it out until June, marking 1 year on our lease, but I just can't stick it out that long. My work and mental state are suffering too much. Edit, in all fairness, I've been fickle agreeing to this arrangement and disagreeing with the arrangement of the father to be moving in. It's difficult to think about my son or myself when I can clearly see my sister is in so much distress. Despite all the comments here about her being awful, she is still my sister, and I love her. I will continue to support her, but on my terms. Her feeling abandoned is valid to her because that's how she feels, and she's afraid. It's not as easy as walking away. I want our relationship to get better, not worse. Fleishaloo says, you're worried about your sister's mental health, but she's not showing any reciprocity. You need to take care of you and your son, who has already been through a lot. Go forth to a new place and be happy, but do not pack any regret with you. It changes nothing and only brings non-peace. You deserve to put yourself and your son first. You can do this. Give yourself a hug for doing the right thing. Unusual Potato says, leave before her newborn arrives, and her entitled ass expects you to get up at night and do a lot for her baby. Do not fall for her guilt-tripping and abandoning bullshit. She's a 36-year-old woman who got knocked up on a one-night stand, so she needs to sort her own life out. She is inconsiderate, selfish, and has no respect for you and your son. She's also been taking advantage of you regarding grocery money, so you need to put you and your son first and get the hell out of there. She will try and extort money out of you for the baby, and do not fall for that. Remember, her baby has a present father, and yours doesn't, plus she makes more than you. Set hard boundaries, and show that she can't walk all over you anymore. Hats and Topcoat says, you never agreed to live with someone who treats you like shit. She has zero respect or regard for your needs or your son's needs. She's choosing to ignore your feelings at every turn. As soon as you possibly can, give her 30 days notice that you and your son are leaving. In the meantime, do what's best for you and your son, not necessarily what she has decided she wants you to do, such as changing your habits and staying out of common spaces. Completely agree with all of this. I mean, she's 36 years old, and she hasn't sorted her shit out. You and her came to an agreement as to the living situation here, and she has just added so many extra goalposts, so many extra things that make this arrangement untenable. Yes, you have been fickle agreeing to this arrangement and disagreeing with the father moving in, but I assume you're doing it because you think she's going to be logical and normal about it. But what you have experienced and what she is continuing to push on you is very much illogical craziness. It's all just craziness, and the more you stick around in that household, the more will be expected of you, and the more your relationship with her will break down. I feel like it is inevitable at this point that you two are going to hate each other if you stay together here. Distance makes the heart grow fonder, especially when the person that you're viewing from a distance is a raging dumpster fire. They can keep themselves warm the hell away from you. And now, onto the update 2 months later. Posting on Reddit was an absolute wake-up call. My sister found the post. Her and her ex totally berated me in a government building conference room after hours. When I was adamant about moving out, things got substantially worse. My sister decided that he would not move in, and we would both move out. I notified the landlord to give him 60 days' notice. I found a place for myself and for my son. It's within my budget and absolutely perfect. With an exit in sight, things were starting to become tolerable. Come mid-November, there was still the issue of shared assets, so I braced for the difficult conversation with my sister via text, requesting to set a date and time to discuss things. Her actual reply was, "Suck my dick, I'm blocking you." I remember being shocked. This was actually out of character. My son and I got in late that night to find that the internet password had been changed, with a message on the chalkboard that as soon as I dropped the topic of shared assets and prepay the upcoming electricity bill, she would not reveal the Wi-Fi password. We live in an area without cell coverage, so I couldn't even message my sister to call her out. I'm not proud, but I went to the garbage and unplugged the router and locked it in my work truck. When she came to me, she was furious. I can hardly remember what she said now. What I can say is that she was very cruel and near violent. In that verbal vomit, she said, "You have no idea what I've been through. I miscarried." At that point, I asked her to give me a few minutes to process. I left shortly after, with my son and my dog, leaving the router on the porch. I'm embarrassed to say that I offered to stay the night and keep her company. I realize now that in order to support someone, we have to ask ourselves if this is safe, if we have the capacity to offer support, and if this person has the capacity to accept support. She halfway apologized a couple of days later. After that, she grieved independently and almost silently. My son and I grieved independently from her, being careful to follow her direction and boundaries of not talking about it. Weeks felt like months. The house was cold. Any level of contact or coordination was the beginning of a fight. In therapy, I started to unpack the events over the last year. I learned a great deal about myself, mostly in regards to my self-integrity. I've come to understand my role in perpetuating her controlling behaviors, my lack of self-esteem, which snowballed under our shared roof, leaving me in a state of ambivalence and complacency. I recognized the ways in which my sister held little to no regard to my autonomy, often using emotional manipulation to force my submission. I know this is abuse. Know that when she got cold, I got colder. I am not innocent in all of this. Someone once described us as an immovable object meeting an unstoppable force. I think there are times where we play either role. I carry deep compassion and love for my sister and remain forever empathetic. I remain optimistic that she will come to understandings of her own that will reunite her with her humility. I am terribly sorry for her loss and often find myself worried about her well-being. I have hope that in time we can build a stronger, more sustainable dynamic. I'm painting my bedroom at my new place. Even with my son on the other side of the country this holiday, I feel at peace here. I wish my sister has peace too. A day will come where we can overcome some of these hardships, but that day is not today. In the comments, Stolen Pen says, "Good. I hope your life gets better without your abusive sister in it. I kind of want to address how you felt that you were equally at fault for the fighting. I think it's completely normal to label your reaction to her abuse as being just as bad, but I also want you to recognize that your sister sounds batshit crazy. I realize that saying you were at fault is a way for you to reclaim autonomy, but as an outsider, no. Emotional abusers will push you to great length for a reaction just so that they can say that you're as bad as they are. I'm sure there is a lot of unhealthy family dynamics that you will unpack in therapy. Good luck healing and give yourself space and grace." And OP says, "Hey, thanks for saying this. I feel like I'm just scratching the surface in terms of my trauma response. I'm not fully accepting the abuse that took place, but am working towards it. Because my sister and I have a very difficult upbringing, we had been very much entangled. She's the only family I have, so it very much feels like a loss. I do agree with you that my sister was the abuser, and I was simply reacting. This I know to be true. I'm just not sure of my reactions at this time. Anyways, thanks for saying this. Rosie Sophia says, sounds like a lot of mess and hurt on both sides. You did the best with keeping distance, having therapy, and living in peace with your son. You were so nice for being optimistic about your relationship. I hope the same too, that eventually you both find peace. And OP replies, thanks for being kind. I'm keeping busy with my new place, trying to distract myself. Brutal Blonde says, you've lived together for 3 months, and you need to discuss the shared assets you acquired in that time frame. Okay, lol. Something seems weird. Your sister didn't change her mind about her ex, and you did with your relentless arguments. You started the battle for control by dictating who could live with your sister. Laser Waffles replies, I wouldn't call it a battle for control if you want to have a conversation with someone before somebody moves into a shared apartment. And OP says, I mean, we moved across the country with nothing. Furniture, tools, dishes, even the pantry and the cleaning supplies, all of these things add up. When everything is a fight, you have to discuss the right to take the rake if you leave the shovel kind of thing. Yeah, OP's sister sounds like the roommate from hell here. I'm glad that OP recognizes that her changing the password was abusive control. And I'm proud of her for disconnecting it and putting it in the truck. That's hilarious. And I think that that is the appropriate reaction to her sister in this instance. But yeah, isn't it crazy that she can justify her actions, but the second that you do it, oh, it's a problem. Oh my god, you're the abuser, OP. Oh, what's with the double think, sister? It also makes sense that OP kind of thinks that her reaction there was a bit abusive herself, given her upbringing. Can't fault her for that. We do love a bit of introspection and self-awareness. But at the end of the day, what you did was a reaction to your environment, OP. I think you did the right thing, and giving you and your son space from that shit show is the correct thing to do. I hope that one day she calms down and recognizes what she did wrong and apologizes, and you guys can be amicable once again, but it doesn't sound like that time's gonna come anytime soon. Thank you for the story, thank you for the update, and all the best for you and your son. Now our next story is from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. It doesn't have an update, but it looked pretty popular, so I just want to read it. It's by user Ness Lucas, and it's titled, Am I the asshole for telling people that I'm not having fun when they ask, and I'm genuinely not? So this one's general. I'm the guy who, when I don't enjoy something, I'll tell you I don't. But if I commit to something, I'll see it through to the end without complaining. Oh, he's one of them brutally honest guys. Let's go. This comes to a head when I was on vacation with my older brother in Arizona, who wanted to do a lot of nature hikes. Nature hikes are fine. I don't mind them, but I do dislike walking up large hills. Walking downhill is the easiest thing ever. It's like being nature's passenger princess. You just put your foot forward and let gravity do all the work. Walking uphill, conversely, is very draining and leaves me sweaty. I don't make a point to complain about something when I do it, so when I was walking uphill, despite not liking it much, I held basic conversation with my brother. As we were heading back down, he asked me if I was having fun, and I said no. Not because of any fault of my brother, I just didn't find the activity fun. Not even bad, just satisfactory. Later, when he was driving me to the airport for my flight home, he told me, if I ask if you're having fun, don't say no. Look, I understand that it can be demoralizing to hear someone's not having fun, but I don't like it when people ask for my opinion and then get upset when I give my honest answer. If I'm not having fun, I'll just say that I'm not having fun. I'm so keen to hear what you guys have to say about this one. Hey guys, are you enjoying the video? No. Oh, okay, sick. Thank you very much. In the comments, Keybar8 says, you're the asshole. It's been a fun day hanging out with you, but man, this hike is steep. I'm looking forward to the downhill bit. That is the sort of polite answer that people are looking for. You acknowledge you're enjoying your brother's company, which was what he was looking for, but you can also acknowledge that the hike is hard, difficult, etc. It doesn't matter how much the activity sucks, people want to hear that you're enjoying their company. Yup, Something along the lines of, "It's awesome being out here with you, but man, hikes like this one totally kick my ass." Doesn't offend him, and also doesn't sign you up for a lifetime of steep hikes. Exactly. It's a small societal nicety that expresses that I'm happy to spend time with you, even if I don't enjoy the activity. My grandma was very good at, "I'm just happy to be with you," or "seeing you makes me happy," which as a kid, I didn't understand was her way of saying, "This activity isn't my thing, but I'm glad to be here because I love you." I dragged her to so many dumb things, lol. She was a really good sport and never made me feel like the unpleasantness of what we were doing for her outweighed the niceness of being with me. I love her so much. AA Poisonous Kisses says, "You're the arsehole. You could have communicated your dislike of the hike with a simple, 'Not really, but I'm enjoying spending time with you.' You're being a dick, OP." No assholes here, but I think you and your brother would benefit from understanding each other a little better. There's nothing wrong with giving him an honest answer, but it obviously hurts his feelings. Unless he already knew your feelings about the kind of hike and or the things you do find fun, or unless you explained the context of your feelings afterwards, your words made him feel guilty about failing to give you a fun time. He's wrong to say that you shouldn't be honest, but most people are not used to that kind of bluntness, and you failed to consider his feelings. In the future, you might benefit from finding a better balance of keeping your commitments without complaints and being more open about your preferences and desires. People feel good when they can have a mutually good time, and people tend to feel worse about a situation if they realize they're the only one enjoying themselves and the other is simply indulging or tolerating them. Hello, not the asshole. As an autistic person, I find myself having to think about what other people want to hear instead of what is the appropriate response. I think in this case, you can give more context, if it seems right, why the activity is or isn't fun without diving into detail. Expressing your own needs isn't necessarily complaining unless the problem has been addressed or there is more nothing to be done, and you bring it up to guilt other people. Maybe say like, "Not very fun for me because long uphills aren't my thing," and cut off further response without being rude. I think bringing it up beforehand to your brother might help too, so that the two of you can compromise. Yeah, my first thought is that OP is on the spectrum as well, because, communication is a bit lacking there. I don't think the correct thing to do in this instance is not say anything beforehand and only say that, "Hey, this kind of sucks," like midway through the activity. I would say that "as we were heading back" is midway through the activity. How about in the future you say something like, "Uphill's not my thing, can we do flat or downhill?" That's better, I reckon. Keeping your feelings, thoughts, and emotions to yourself previous to it will only make him assume that you're absolutely okay with uphill and everything else that he wants to do. I don't think you're a dickhead for what has happened, absolutely not. I think you're just a bit unaware, and that's okay. Everyone is a little bit ignorant in some regards. You're the asshole for what occurred, but you're not a bad person. And that's where I'm going to leave today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.